My name is Alyssa and I'm going to be showing you guys step by step through this lovely painting we like to call Coral Reef. So this painting is fairly simple, it's very fun, very relaxing. That was the whole point of these painting videos. So make sure you guys have all the stuff in front of you before we do start. I will go over everything that you need, everything that was included in the kit if you purchase that from Splash. But to get started, you guys are going to want to have a canvas. So if you got a package from Splash, you should have gotten an 11 by 14 size canvas. The original painting is painted on a little bit bigger size, but it's totally okay. It's still going to be the exact same steps for this entire painting. Another thing you guys should have is a set of brushes. So there will be a rag wrapped around the brushes, and you should have 4 of them. One being the large flat brush, a medium flat brush, a medium round brush, and then a small detail brush. So if you have other brushes at home, feel free to use those throughout all of the steps, but these are the ones, like I said, that should be included within your kit. You guys should have a palette of some sort. This is literally just a paper plate, so you can use something as simple as that, or if you have something a little more fancy. You guys are going to want to get a cup of water. Once again, does not have to be super fancy, but right away you are going to want to stick all of your brushes into your water cup. And then of course you guys are going to need some paint. So once again, if you got the kit, they should have came in some little containers like this. If you have some paint lying around at home somewhere, feel free to use that, why not? But at any point, if you guys want to change the colors in your paintings, you guys can. I'm just going to be showing you pretty much how this painting is set up, the original version of it. So feel free to get creative with this and enjoy this step-by-step tutorial. Alrighty guys, so to start off this painting, we are going to be mixing a bunch of different blues to get our background color. So what we kind of want to do is we want to make a few different blues going from light to a little bit darker. So I'm going to actually be using my large flat brush for the entire background. So make sure you give that a little bit of a rinse and just dry it off. So I'm going to start by just taking normal white paint, and I'm going to be adding that kind of to the part of the canvas where I want it to be the lightest. Now it might sound kind of funny because your canvas is white, but since the paint will be wet, once we start adding blue over it, it'll blend a lot nicer. So I kind of just pick a spot on my palette, put some white on there. So as you can kind of see with this painting, it's lighter on the right side and then it gets a bit darker as you go to the left. Obviously you can always switch that up, but I'm going to pick a point on the right side of my canvas and I'm going to start making kind of some C or curved shapes. You can go from bottom to top, top to bottom. You're kind of just making a C-like pattern. I'm sticking to just one area of my canvas. Like I said, you want kind of a lighter area. And once you have a good amount of white on there, you can then start to gradually add the blue. So what you're going to want to do, you don't even need to rinse off your brush or anything. I just dipped right into the blue, mix it a little bit with some of the white that I already have, and you can start adding that in to the white that you already put on your canvas. So as you can kind of see, since you already have the white, it's blending, it's making the blue very light colored. So you're just going to continue to do that. Once again, doing that C pattern. And we're going to start getting darker and darker as we go. So just kind of focus on doing some light blues for now in certain areas. You can definitely come back, add some more white to your painting if you need to. But this is totally up to you on how much light, dark blue that you want to do. Like I said, we're just focusing right now on just the light blue areas. Once you guys kind of think that you have enough of that light blue mixed in there, you can feel free to start gradually adding in more and more of the normal blue color. So if you don't have a lot of paint on your brush, you can definitely feel free to just kind of dip it into the blue paint and start going at it. Otherwise, you can also rinse your brush, start from there. Kind of depends on how you want your blue to look, but I'm just going to go ahead, dip mine right into the blue, and then continue on where I left off. As you see, it can still kind of blend because the paint is still wet. And so then you're going to focus on the rest of your canvas, just adding more and more blue. If you want, you can even add a little bit of black to the blue paint, just to make it a little bit darker. Like I said, it really depends on how light, how dark you want your water. Completely up to you. Alright guys, so once you kind of have all of the blue on exactly where you want it, we are going to take a little bit of a break. I would say take about between 10 or 15 minutes to kind of just let everything dry in the background, because next is going to be the fun part of adding all of the different vegetation in the painting, which is pretty much the whole thing of the painting. So feel free to take the time to just make sure you really have the blues how you want them. Make sure everything is kind of transitioned nicely. It's exactly how you want it before we start adding in all of the fun stuff. Alrighty guys, welcome back from the break. So now we are going to be starting some of our background seaweed. So once again, we are going to be using a good amount of blue. Like I said, this is kind of going to be the seaweed that you see in the background. It's a bunch of different teal colors, so that's what we're going to be mixing up. So I'm going to be using my medium round brush now. So looks like this. Just dry it off a little bit. So now we're going to start making a teal color. So usually you would think of teal would be blue and green. But we are actually going to be mixing up blue and yellow to make a teal color. So teal is definitely kind of tricky because sometimes when you add yellow to the blue, it will either turn super green or you will realize that you didn't add enough yellow. So the key is to only add a little bit of yellow to blue paint. So somewhere on my palette, I'm going to grab some blue, then I'm going to kind of separately put yellow somewhere off to the side, just because like I said, it will turn very green very quickly. If you want your seaweed more green though, definitely feel free to add more yellow to it. It's completely up to you. So we're going to make a teal, tiniest little bit of yellow. Alrighty, and you don't need a whole lot because this is a smaller canvas. Once you kind of have a teal color that you like mixed up, these are going to be some very, very simple just lines that are representing the seaweed. We're going to be adding a few different shades, so this first step it's going to look a little bit weird, but it will be more full and lively as it goes on. So I'm kind of just going to pick a spot. We're going to stick to the left side. The darker blue area is where you're going to put this background seaweed. So I'm just going to go from the bottom to the top, pick a spot. I'm going to make mine very curvy. Seaweed is not perfect or straight or anything like that. You want it to be kind of very squiggly lines. You can have it as thick as you want, as thin as you want. But I'm going to put probably about like 3 or 4 of this darker shade of teal. So once again, kind of just picking a spot, bringing it all the way up. Some of them, if you want, they can run off your canvas. If you don't want them to run off your canvas, you don't have to. You can make some shorter than others. It's completely up to you where you want to put these. But basically you're just focusing on making the darker teal seaweed first, and then I'll show you guys how to kind of lighten that up and add a few more different shades of it alongside your other ones. Alrighty, so once you guys kind of have the darker teal placed in there, all you're going to do is continue to add white as we make our teal lighter and lighter. Like I said, we're just kind of mixing up some different shades of teal, because they should kind of somewhat blend in with your background. Seaweed is not going to be super bright like the coral in the front. Like I said, it's more of a background thing for the painting. But once again, you're mixing up a teal, and then you're just going to add a little bit of white to it, just a little bit, because the next shade we're going to add a little bit more of white. So you're going to want to kind of create a few different shades. So once you have something mixed up that you like, once again, you're going to do the exact same thing. You can overlap them, you can put them right next to each other, but like I said, we're still just kind of sticking with this left side of our canvas, so keep that in mind. And then once again, you can put them as high up as you want, you can make them as squiggly as you want. This is seaweed, so I don't think there is anything too strict about how it should look. And then one more time, guys, once you have that second shade of teal placed in, you're going to make teal once again, and you're going to add a little bit more white to it just to get your final lighter layer of the teal. If you guys want to add even lighter shades or even darker shades, you guys totally can at this point. This is kind of the point of the painting where you're going to want to decide everything that you need in your background, because we will be moving on to the coral in the next steps. Alrighty everyone, so now we are going to move on to some of our coral. We're basically going to be working in layers, so we're going to start with kind of the orange ones you see, and then gradually work our way to the front with the more detailed ones. So to start off, we are going to be using our exact same brush that we were just using, which is the medium round brush, and we are going to be mixing up an orange color. We're not going to be using the solid orange, but we are going to make an orange using yellow, white, and then some orange. So once again, picking a little spot on my palette, yellow, mixed in with the white, and then we're just adding like a little splash of orange to it, because we are going to be adding, like I said, a few different other colors, so we don't want to overpower the first layer of the coral. Alrighty. So once you guys have an orange mixed up, once again, depends how orange you want it. So this is kind of the same technique to start off of how you did the seaweed. It's going to be kind of just making different kind of branches and then building off of that. So it's basically, like I said, the same thing. We're going to pick a spot, except we're going to be sticking more with the right side of our canvas now. And these are also going to be a little bit thicker than what you had your seaweed, just to kind of differentiate it. But it's almost like you're making like a tree. So it is going to be thicker. You're going to be making branches, and then we're going to be making little branches off of the branches. So I'm going to pick a spot at the bottom of my canvas, and I'm kind of making my brush strokes a bit thicker, and I'm going to go maybe all the way up to here, and that'll be one branch. So once you kind of have one in, it makes it a little easier. Then maybe you want to go off of this branch, put one right there. And then maybe I want to put one that kind of connects at the bottom. And it's okay if you do run into the seaweed area, because a bunch of your coral is going to do that. So maybe I want to put one here, but I don't want to go all the way up. Like I said, you just want to make sure that this is a little bit thicker looking. I'm going to go back over mine and definitely just make sure that it looks exactly how I want it. But continue to just add some various branches where you want them. And then we will add kind of more of the little details after you guys have it established as to where you want that orange coral to go. So once you guys have that orange piece of coral where you want it, the thickness looks good to you, then you can continue on with using that same orange, which once again, if you have to make more, it is yellow, white, and then some orange. So once you have that all ready to go, once you kind of have your branches on, this makes this step a little bit easier. But pretty much you're just going to be focusing on making brush strokes that go upwards on each of your branches. So it's basically picking a spot and going up, picking a spot, going up. So you're going to just continue to do that on the branches of the coral, switching from going maybe underneath to adding some on top. Once again, you can add as little or as many as you want of these. I like to kind of round mine off at the end a little bit. So feel free to adjust with whatever you need. You can overlap, but also keep in mind these are going to be the background coral, so they do not have to look perfect at all. Alright guys, so it looks like my phone kind of messed up something, that I lost a step for you guys, but I went ahead and I did the red layer of coral. So to make that, it is just going to be red, orange, and just a little bit of white, so you're making like a red-orange coral color. So to keep in mind when you're doing these ones, for the example, there's just two of them, and one kind of creeps out more into the left side while the other one is just overlapping the ones you already made. So to keep in mind, you want these ones to be just a little bit thicker than all of your other ones. After you kind of have them established, it's going to be the fun part and we get to add polka dots to it. But keep in mind when you are making them about spacing, because we do have one more coral to add. It's going to be slightly darker. So just keep that in mind. I'll show you guys mine up close, but it's the exact same method that we've been doing, making branches and then adding little ones to them. So as you can see, I have one going off more to the side here, and then I have a bigger one going right here. So place them wherever you feel is necessary. But since, like I said, my camera kind of messed up, I will be going into doing the dots now with the coral. So to do that, I'm going to be using my small detail brush. You can use a different brush if you'd like to, but this step, pretty self-explanatory. We are going to be making dots all along the red coral you just made. So some people like to do the traditional way, using the brush, dipping it in, and doing polka dots. Some people also like to actually flip the brush upside down, and if you dip it into the paint, put it on your canvas, it actually kind of makes a perfect circle. So it definitely depends on, how you want these to look, how many you want, but feel free to start adding all of the little polka dots only in the red coral that you just created. Alright, so once you guys have all those polka dots in that you want, we are going to move on to our final piece of coral, which is going to be the darkest piece that you see in the front here, and there's one kind of on the side. So to mix that, we will be making a kind of reddish purple color. So I am going to continue to use the medium round brush again. So just rinse that off a little bit. So to make purple, that is going to be blue and red. However, we want it to be slightly more red than blue. So we're going to mainly take red. And then just have a little scoop of blue, mix that in there. And it's going to be kind of like a maroon color red. Once again, it can be as dark as you'd like, so feel free to adjust the colors if needed. But once you guys have that purpley red color mixed up, one more time you're going to be doing the same thing. However, this one in the front is going to be the main focal point. So feel free to kind of overlap one that you already did. Make this one really bold, really centered. You can put as many branches as you want. It's your choice if you also want to put another little one off somewhere. Completely up to you. We're going to be doing the exact same method that we have been doing this entire painting. Alright guys, so once you have that coral in place, we are going to do some more polka dots. It might be a little hard to see on the painting, but instead of white, they're actually kind of a more bluish color. So once again, I'm going to use my smallest brush. And I'm going to, once again, it is kind of like a purple color, so we're going to be adding blue and red, but this time you're going to want to add more blue than red, versus how we made this, we did more red than blue. So a little bit more blue than red. Once you get that bluish color, you can then feel free to keep adding more polka dots. And make sure you put them all around, all the branches, wherever you would like them. But this will be the last step we have with the coral. And then the next thing after this, we'll be adding just one more little layer of that teal seaweed and we will be done with this painting. Final step for this painting is going to be adding one more layer of that teal seaweed that we already had. If you still have it mixed up, great. Mine definitely dried out on my palette, so I have to make a little bit more. But just as a reminder, it is going to be blue with a little bit of yellow. That's going to create your first dark teal. And then as you get lighter, you're just going to be adding more and more white to it. So you can add as much as little as you want, but it's really just kind of in this front area. Doesn't go up very high. It's just kind of blending in with the coral that we already made. You don't have to put a lot of it, but you're just going to add a few more strands of that within your painting. Like I said, blue, little bit of yellow, and then gradually mix in white as you get lighter with the teal color. I will show mine up close for you guys. I'm sure yours look just as great, if not better. So the last and final thing I have for you guys is I highly encourage you to sign your name somewhere in your painting. Let your family, your friends, your dog know that you painted this. And I hope you guys ultimately had a really great time. This is a really fun painting to do. You know, there's not a whole lot of steps to it. There's a lot of just kind of layering coral. That's kind of the fun part, and if you guys decided to kind of do your own colors, I'm sure they looked absolutely amazing. But with that being said, please feel free to share all of Splash's videos. Continue to keep going through different painting videos. Buy some of the kits, they're super fun, super great paintings, a lot of great artists at Splash. are teaching them, including myself. So feel free to check those out and share your results of how your paintings turned out via either Facebook, Instagram, however you want. Make sure you tag Splash Studios. And I hope you guys stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day.